Here.
Mrs. Klinger,
Here.
Mrs. Nemitz,
Here.
and Mrs. Ziegler.
Here.
Okay, thank you. It looks like we're all here tonight. The first thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Our last curriculum meeting was October 26th. May I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So
So
moved.
moved. I'll take second.
Second. Anyone have any questions about those minutes? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. We're going
Mrs. Klinger, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I
Yes.
did start the recording and we forgot to
Gotcha.
announce. And unfortunately, I started it late, so we were unable to capture the condolences. If you'd like to offer those again, so that we can have that in the recording.
Okay, okay. All right. Before we start the meeting tonight, I would like to have a moment of silence for one of our IAs, instructional assistants, Donna Ritter, who was an IA in the library at the high school. I'd like to have a moment of silence for her. Okay, thank you. And I'd like to extend our condolences from the administration, the staff, and the board to her family. Her husband, Glenn, and her son, Matt, is our computer technician here in the school district. She will definitely be missed by all who knew her and worked with her. And with that, I forgot to turn it over to Mrs. Funey-Hetton for a video from the Salisbury Elementary School.
Yes, so as you may be aware, this month is school board, school directors appreciation month, and the Salisbury Elementary students have created a video that I would like to share with you. The video is about 7 minutes, so I'll go ahead and play that video. It'll be a pleasure to watch. Okay, and I see someone has asked about the chat, so it perhaps is turned off. I will investigate that as soon as the video is finished, okay?
We the school board helps to make decisions like what happens in a day, or what the teachers are going to be working on, and they help make each other make decisions for like new equipment or playground stuff.
I appreciate you because not like much people want to go back because of the virus and they want to stay safe. And most of us do want to come back because we miss our friends and we want to see them.
Thank you, Pop-Up, for all you do on the school board.
We appreciate you. Appreciate you because you volunteer your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Frank.
You're welcome.
Mr. Frank.
I appreciate the school board because they've helped us through tough times.
Lynn, can you hear that?
No.
Now I can.
Can we do it one more time? One more time. Here we go.
We appreciate you. We appreciate you.
What?
Are you having trouble hearing?
Yeah.
It's going in and out.
Okay.
I'm the driver. Roller coaster. Fireworks. And squirt, squirt. Good. And end with a silent cheer as you turn off your microphones. Smile and cheer.
Good.
Good. Grace, can you tell everybody what you think the president of the school board does?
It makes sure no one does mean things.
Thanks, Grace.
Thank you, Mrs. Glendister. Mr. Janelle.
Everybody
We appreciate you. Thank you, school board, for helping us get this all sorted out. For telling us if we're online or if we're going back, what our classroom is going to look like, and for getting this argument out. And everyone will be happy in school. Mr. Hattinger, thank you.
Thank you. Dear STSD School Board, my name is Chloe. I am in 3rd grade at Mr. Samishka's class. Thank you for all of your hard work at Salisbury School. Respectfully, Chloe. 6 on 8, you are great. And then just thank you, card. I missed you. Dear STSD School Board, my name is Zoe and I'm in 3rd grade, Mr. Samushka's class. Thank you for letting us all go back to school. We appreciate everything you've done. Sincerely, Zoe.
My name is Braylon, and I'm in Mr. S's student at STS. I'm staying online, but thank you for allowing us to return face to face. Sincerely, Braylon.
Thank you. Dear STSD Board, my name is Aritza and I am in 3rd grade, Mr. Samishka's class. And I'm so happy that we get to go to face-to-face learning. I have been waiting for the whole year. Respectfully, Aritza.
School day. Dear STSD School Board, my name is Emily. I am in Mr. Shmishka's class. Thank you for bringing us back together. I can't wait to see my teacher in person. It is awesome. This might be the best day ever. Sincerely, Emily.
Dear school, I can't wait to return to school. Thank you for all you do. JCN. Respectfully, JCN.
Thank you, STSD, for everything you did for the school.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
great.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, thank you very much. That was very nice. It was good to see all of you, and I'm glad that you're all happy that we're going back to school. Okay, we're going to move on to the high school program of studies. Mrs. Morningstar, I believe.
Actually, Mr. Mushlitz will be speaking to you about the
Okay.
program of studies.
Okay,
And I'll be sharing my screen. So if you just give me a second, I'll pull that up.
Good evening, everybody.
Hold on. It's not cooperating. Give me a second, Brian. For whatever reason, it's not allowing me to share. It might be because I have like a bazillion windows open for all the different projects we're working on. Let's see.
It looks like you do have rights to share.
Let's see here.
There you go.
Don't look at the desktop too much. That's a work in progress. All right, Mr. Mushlitz, apologies. Here we go. Now we're ready.
All right, thank you for sharing your screen. For the program of studies for 21-22, wow, I can't believe I'm saying 21-22. For 21-22, some of the changes were the usual updates of the social media, the updated Board of Education members. And then under the school counseling services, we added this year AP Psychology as a selection for AP classes in social studies, and Intro to Psychology as a dual enrollment course at Moravian College. Under the Gifted Seminar this year, we added the Honors Gifted Seminar course called Innovations and Innovators. It's the alternate year honors gifted program with the How to Think, the alternate years. This is the year that this will be offered. Under business information and computer technology, we have our alternate year electives every other year. We deleted the game programming and the AP computer science principles and added AP computer science A, which is the alternate to the AP computer science. And we added the advanced computer skills database, multimedia design, and web page design. Again, they're the alternate year electives. A big change is the changing of the courses of Java 1 and Java 2. The Java 1 is being changed to Introduction to Computer Studies, and there was an updated course description. And Java 2 is Computer Programming, and again, an updated course description is being added. English, it's just the alternate year electives that are being added and deleted, the classical mythology and creative writing being added, and the fiction and film and intro to theater electives being deleted for this year. Mathematics, we are continuing our eliminating our Alg Geo series. So in year 2, we are eliminating the Alg Geo 2 course from the sequence as part of the 3-year phase out of the Algebra Geometry series. Next year, Alg Geo 3 will be eliminated. In return, Algebra 2, we're adding the College Prep Algebra 2 like we did with the College Prep Algebra 1 last year, this current year. We're adding the second year of Algebra 2. In science, there was an updated course description to accurately, to accurately reflect the course content of our Physics 1, and also the Honors Physics 1 and Honors Physics 2 courses the descriptions were also updated to provide a more accurate reflection of the course content. Social studies, we had a couple of good big changes. We're deleting street law, sociology, and government this year because, again, they're the alternate year electives. And we added the alternatives of ancient and classical empires, economics, and psychology in their rotation. New this year will be the AP Psychology and a new elective called Pocahontas and Patriots, a discovery of colonial American history. These are 2 new courses that were approved by the school board back in October. And we added tolerance and diversity every year now. Tolerance and diversity was offered alternate years, but we feel it's very important for it to be added now as a every year offering. Rebels, Robbers, and Rogues, which was an elective for a few years, is no longer going to be offered as an elective. In world languages, some minor updates to course descriptions to accurately update German 1 and German 3. And significantly, we added the following language to the Spanish courses being offered. Students that are heritage Spanish speaking at home or native speakers should be prepared to take a placement test to determine the appropriate level of language to begin their studies. Native speaking students with advanced Spanish language skills should consider challenging themselves by taking German. And those are the changes being recommended to the program of studies for 2021-2022 school year.
Does anyone have any questions?
I do, Mrs. Klinger. How many of these, I guess some of these have been approved by the board previously, Brian, you had said?
Yes, the previous ones or that were approved were the AP Psychology and the Pocahontas Social Studies elective course back in October.
Yeah, and as well as the computer science ones, Brian, from changing them from Java 1 to more general courses and being able to infuse mobile technologies into those courses. And we also, I believe, talked about the AlgebGeo series last year and just are continuing that that process.
Yeah, that's correct.
So anything that is an alternating year elective had been approved as such in previous years.
Okay, so in other words, there's nothing new here that we have to approve?
That is correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. And if there are no other questions, we'll move on to the return to brick and mortar. I think Mrs. Pauling is taking charge of this.
Yeah, there it goes. I was like clicking on the tab and nothing was happening, but here it is. Yes, the building principals, the computer techs, our teachers, everyone in the district has been hard at work with making the adjustments to coming back to return to school, as well as continuing our online classes. This has necessitated multiple schedules, like all kinds of stuff. So each of the principals is going to give an update. So Zach, if you want to get us started here with Salisbury Elementary.
Certainly. Hi, everybody. So we have great news at the elementary school. We were able to accommodate all of our parent requests for implementing either virtual instruction or returning face-to-face at this point, and still maintaining the numbers that we need for an in-person return 5 days a week. Our parents were notified of new teacher assignments on Tuesday, January 19th. We tried to keep as many of our students in classroom teachers that they had previously when possible. The only times that we did have to make shifts were if the student's mode of instruction had changed and the teacher remained either the virtual teacher or that teacher was an in-person teacher and the child chose to stay virtual. Our kindergarten and first grade students will be returning to school on Wednesday. Should be January 27th. Sorry, I put the wrong month in there. And then just due to the weather that is in the forecast for tomorrow. And we're excited to be able to continue live specials for our virtual students as well. And that will be beginning on February 8th. So any of our students who are choosing to remain virtual will still have an opportunity to have live specials delivered by our specialist teachers. We're also looking forward to utilizing School Dismissal Manager, which is our automated dismissal process. We had 2 mock dismissals last week. We had a bunch of parents who assisted us with that process to try it out, which caused us to launch a frequently asked questions document for our parents to assist them as well. So looking forward to our kindergarten and first graders coming in on Wednesday. And that's all I have for the elementary building.
Thanks, Mr. Brem.
You're welcome. Any questions?
Exciting.
There's been a flurry of activity for sure. Mr. Parliament, you want to update, provide an update on the middle school?
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. So as just like Zach mentioned, the middle school, we were able to accommodate all parent requests, which was great to be able to have everybody who wants to stay online can stay online. Everybody who wants to come back can come back, and we're able to do that in a 5-day-a-week model, which is awesome. At this point, a 5th grade, was able to remain with their class and their teacher, which was also nice, which provides some continuity and instruction. And and helps them to continue to build those relationships with the teachers that they have and the kids in their classrooms. And also, we were able to make just limited schedule changes in grades 6 through 8. There's only a few schedules that had to be changed in 6 through 8. But besides that, most of the students were able to maintain and keep their current schedules and keep in the sections that they were in. We're currently investigating some options for our activity period. As most of you know, you've seen our offerings in the past. We're trying to work with teachers to figure out how we can continue to provide some options for socialization during that time period for mixed grade levels. So we're investigating that right now and seeing what kind of club offerings we can offer as we transition into having a mix of students in school and online as of February 8th. And the schedule that we currently have also provides some time too. It sticks with, right now in the online schedule, they have time for office hours. So the schedule that we have will also provide some additional time for students to connect with teachers who need additional support, whether they're online or face-to-face. So we're excited to have kids back and looking forward to the 8th.
Thanks, Mr. Parliament. And are you ready to go on to the high school?
Yes.
All right, Mrs. Morningstar.
Yes. So high school students will be returning on the 8th. Oops, can you go back? Thank you. High school students will be returning on the 8th in a hybrid model due to size limitations and class sizes. Students whose last names begin A through L will be reporting on Monday, Tuesday of each week. M through Z will be reporting on Thursday, Friday, and Wednesday will alternate. The first week it will be A through L. The second week it will be M through Z. Obviously, we're going to have to continue to report that out in various forms because we do recognize the potential for people to be confused about whether it's their Wednesday or not to go. Based on the data that we had amassed from parents, 37% of the high school students will be remaining virtual, at least at the beginning of this semester. And student parents will have the opportunity, if need be, to reevaluate that monthly. Our 9th grade orientation, we had a lot of outreach from parents regarding orientation opportunities for 9th graders. We have very small groups coming in this week, no more than 10 students at any given time. National Honor Society members are walking those students through the building and introducing them to the major areas of interest or the places that they need to be able to find on their first day. We also have Lindsay Bauer has worked with Mr. Mushlitz and with I to produce a virtual orientation for students, which everyone will have access to as well and will be posted on our website.
In order to make all this happen, we did procure, sorry, this is a little touchy. We did procure some additional equipment for our teachers, both for online instruction and for returning to brick and mortar. We've gotten monitors for teachers, document cameras. Some of these already existed in the district, but not every teacher who needed one had one. So we were able to use some grant funds to procure those for staff. In addition, for the classes that will be live streaming, which is primarily grades 5 through 12, although we do have some elementary special area teachers that may be needing it, we procured conference speakers. This is a 360-degree microphone and speaker built in, so our students who are remaining at home can still feel like a part of the class and ask questions, and the room can hear them, as well as the students at home can hear what the students are saying in class if there's a class discussion, or if there's a video to help with the communication. We also got tripods, and we already had existing iPads. We did procure a few iPads, but for the most part, we used ones that we already had. And so each teacher will be having the audio and video running through the iPad, and then they'll be using their laptop to present and display information for their students. The tripod is mobile, so depending on what they're doing in class, they can move it to where they are. And we're very grateful to Mr. Smith, our coordinator of instructional technology, and our building techs, who have been hard at work with our teachers figuring all these things out and getting them dispersed and set up in all of our classrooms. And that's the update.
Does anyone have any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to say thank you to all of you for the work that you've put in. I have 3 kids at home who are very excited to get back to school. I shared before this meeting started that I overheard the 2nd grade guidance lesson today, which was all about change, and it was really a lovely offering of information and resources for the kids to use as they go through this transition. I also spotted our school bus in the neighborhood today, so I think our drivers are probably out doing test runs, and it was exciting to see. So I appreciate every ounce of effort that has gone into getting our kids back to the building.
Definitely agreed. I have a question for the high school. Will the high school be remaining hybrid for the rest of the year? Or is there a potential to go back 5 days?
I don't think that that's necessarily my decision to make. We need to, right now, in order for us to maintain the social distancing guidelines of 6 feet, we can only do so by having part of the student body in at any given time. If that guideline of 6 feet changed, then that would potentially open up room for discussion about that amongst the school board, I would imagine.
Okay.
Mrs. Klinger, can I follow up with a question for Heather, please?
Sure.
Heather, even with, I think the number was 35% are staying home, learning virtually, even with that percentage, it's still not, that percentage is still not 37%, is still not high enough to maintain social distancing, obviously.
Correct. We probably have to get closer to 50% is what other schools have found in order to bring everyone in at the same time while maintaining the 6 feet distance. Our classrooms at the high school, if you remember, George, during our construction project, we have a tremendous variety of sizes of classrooms.
Yeah.
We have some classrooms that are extremely large or can be double sized. We have some classrooms that are very, very small. And the problem is we have to use all of those classrooms at the same time. So when we have fewer students in a class, we have more space in those smaller classes. There would be some classes we could probably make it work with 37%. We can't do it for all.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to share my thanks as well for all the hard work for getting this to take place tomorrow. And Sarah, you mentioned about the school bus, and it happened here too. All of a sudden I heard this noise. I was like, what is that? Here, it's a school bus. And I went, oh, they're practicing or learning their runs. It was a nice feeling to see them again.
Yeah, I was washing dishes and I saw a bus 16 drive by and I was like, yay!
It was like, that's a bus.
Okay, thank you. I agree. Thank you for all the hard work that you've all done. I know this has not been easy for anyone. And for all of you who we keep changing our minds and situations keep changing, I appreciate you working with us. So with that, we'll move on to the 2021-22 calendar.
Did you want the resolution or the calendar?
Oh, well, the resolution, I guess. Sorry.
Sure. So this resolution is something we pass every year. These are days that we would not be able to take as snow days. So these are 5 additional days that we designate as local holidays. It's something that we're required to submit. So this is very similar to what you've seen every other year.
Anyone have any questions for Mrs. Funey-Hetton? Okay, then we'll go to the calendar.
Again, I think the calendar really mirrors previous calendars, taking into account holidays and professional development days, early dismissals.
Have there been changes since the last time we looked at this calendar? Only other than the start of school?
I believe we were able to take out the early dismissals because of the virtual learning that we're currently in. So this is this is going back to our typical calendar. So it would mirror that.
Okay.
So this is the 2021-22 calendar. This is the first time you're seeing this calendar.
Okay.
And as Kelly said, it mirrors previous years. There are, and Zach, you might be the best person to speak to this, there are fewer elementary early dismissals.
Yes, that's correct. So it's more in alignment with middle school and high school. We still do have early dismissals for parent-teacher conferences, so that's why there are more on the elementary calendar.
Kelly, can you scroll down so we can see January?
Sure.
I just wanted to see that if it leaked
You want to see
into-
the winter holiday break?
That's what I was trying to see.
Is that what
okay.
you're looking for? Maybe, Kelly, maybe you can make it a little bigger.
I can definitely do that.
And
whoa, too big?
No,
nope,
that's
that's good.
That's good.
Kelly or Lynn, do we have any issues with a inequity of Fridays, Thursdays, and many more days for high schoolers than other?
Mary, I didn't count those up. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of early dismissals for high schools. As you can see, there are only 5 there.
I can see it better now that it's larger.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kelly.
You're very welcome.
Okay, I just wanted to just end up seeing if Friday sessions were going to end up losing a lot of instruction.
One thing I do notice, Lynn, is that the times for elementary should be 1:15 instead of 1 o'clock. I just noticed that now.
Okay, so we'll make that change. Thank you, Zach.
Mary, I think in partial answer to your question, it won't really matter what day of the week high school early dismissals are for this year only because we're on a semester block schedule. We changed from the every other day block just for this year because of COVID. So the kids will have the same class every single day. So they won't be missing any more of that class if they have an early dismissal on Friday or if they had that early dismissal on Monday. It's the same class during that block every day of the week for this year only.
Oh, thank you, Heather.
Right.
That answers my question. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else have any other questions? Okay, we will move on to the teaching and learning update. And I think we'll start with Kelly.
Yes, so we've been, it's so nice to do the teaching and learning update because it's a nice way to update you on some other things that are happening. Sorry, I meant to hit present. So many things that are happening. So we're going to kick off with SES has been recognized for some of the work they've done in their building. And so we'd like to give you, Mr. Brem's going to give you an update on that work.
Yes, so great news at the elementary building. We were recognized for our school-wide positive behavior and intervention supports program on behalf of the state of Pennsylvania for our implementation of Tier 1 for SWIBs. So if you have students in the elementary school or if you visited the elementary school, you've heard the motto, responsible, respectful, and safe. You're also very familiar with both Western previously using Wonder Bucks and Truman utilizing Truman Treasures, which are now called Falcon Feathers, which are used to reinforce positive behavior expectations with our students. Students are also able to earn Falcon Proud Slips, which then go into the leaderboard. So the state sent in representatives who interviewed staff and students and completed a survey. And as a result of that, we were awarded for our recognition in Tier 1. So exciting opportunity for our elementary school. And we will be receiving a plaque from the state as well to display proudly in our building.
So congratulations to Mr. Brem for that work and for leading that work, as well as, the teachers on our staff, the guidance counselors, that all contribute to that. A lot of work goes into something that it looks like it's smooth and easy, but they do lessons on the bus and at lunch and in the hallways, and everything has come from a lens of positivity. Plus, they blend in the work with Leader and me. So it's a great deal of work that goes into that. So it was great to see the building recognized. We just wanted to give a brief update. Last spring, due to the abrupt closure of schools in March, this state testing was waived for 1920. So there was no PSSA and there were no Keystone exams last spring. If students were enrolled in a Keystone class that they typically would have taken the Keystone and they passed the course and they're a first-time test taker, they are designated as proficient. So they don't have to take it. State testing is not waived for this year. So this spring in April and in May, we expect, unless there's different guidance that comes out, that we will be administering the PSSA and Keystones, and students, should they like, they can participate in Keystone testing if they want to. So we are anticipating that'll be what we are doing this spring. And then Mrs. Morningstar, we did get a bit of a reprieve on some graduation requirements. I think we presented this maybe 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. So there's been some updates. So Mrs. Morningstar, if you want to share. So basically with Act 158.
I'm sorry, Kelly, I didn't realize I was not muted. I apologize.
Oh, no, that's okay. I just can't see you in my screen. So
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I was talking right along and I'm like, whoa, my apologies. So I think we've presented this 3 times now with a different update with each passing year. So many of you this will strike a chord with you, I believe. These are the statewide graduation requirements, which have now been postponed in terms of being implemented until the class of 2023. And according to these options, whereas in the past, students had to demonstrate proficiency on the Keystones or on a project-based assessment, there are now 5 different pathways that students can pursue in order to graduate. And we're going to take you briefly through each of those pathways. Next, please. Oh, I think this is just a flow chart that pretty much shows the same thing, Kelly. It delineates that from. Do we actually have the slides that walk through each of the pathways or no?
We don't. We have.
Oh, that's okay. I have them. I can explain the pathways.
Okay.
Okay. That's not a problem at all. Just one moment, please.
Oh my goodness.
So the first pathway is the Keystone Composite pathway, and the Keystone Proficiency pathway. And in order for a student to graduate according to the Keystone Proficiency pathway, the student would need to score proficient or advanced on each of the Keystone assessments. As of right now, those assessments are administered in algebra at the end of Algebra 1, literature, and biology. So students would have to be proficient or advanced in all 3. The second pathway is a Keystone Composite pathway, which was updated in 2019, which I think we updated this information at that time. This allows for students to achieve a satisfactory composite score, a combination score, and they must achieve proficiency on at least one of the 3 exams on either biology, algebra, or literature, and they cannot score below basic on the other 2 exams. So you have to have 1 proficient or advanced and no below basics. Okay, plus you have to achieve a composite score. The third pathway is the alternate assessment pathway. This requires that students achieve a passing grade in an academic content associated with each Keystone exam. For example, you need to pass biology in order to meet the first criteria for the alternate assessment pathway. And there are a host of outlined alternate assessments then that students could achieve proficiency or an approved cut score on. For example, the SAT, the PSAT, the ACT, the ASVAB, the ACT work keys, etc. This also includes achievement of an established score on an AP exam, or passing successfully a concurrent enrollment class, a pre-apprenticeship program, or being accepted at a four-year college. Okay. The next pathway is the evidence-based pathway, which requires that students achieve passing grades in all of those content areas again. So for example, biology, in order to meet the first part of this criteria for the biology exam, and then attain established cut scores on one of the listed assessments, an SAT subject test, the ACT work keys, etc., or completion of a concurrent and dual enrollment class, plus the addition of 2 pieces of evidence. And then you're given a list of options that could be included there: a service learning project, a letter guaranteeing full-time employment after high school, a certificate of successful completion of an internship or cooperative ed program. And the last pathway is the career and technical education pathway. Students who graduate according to this pathway need to achieve proficiency, need to pass the course associated with the Keystone assessment area, and they can attain an industry competency certification, or they can demonstrate a high likelihood of success on an approved industry-based competency assessment, or they show readiness for continued meaningful engagement in the program. So that's a whole lot of information in a very short period of time. Do you have questions about any of the pathways?
I have one question about the process in general. Like, at what point during a student's 4 years in high school do you sort of figure out which pathway they'll take? Is it something that is established junior year? Is it something that you're watching from 9th grade on?
So we start watching that. That's a good question. We start tracking that in 9th grade because the first Keystones are administered in 9th grade, and we have students who are in career and technical education in 9th grade. So we're in the process of developing a spreadsheet which allows us to track the Keystone scores. So in 9th grade, if we see that a student achieved at least proficiency on all 3 Keystone scores, we don't need to watch anymore for that student to meet a pathway. So that will take a large percentage of our student body out of the equation. So now we're looking at maybe half of the kids. So then we look at the factors with each of those classes. If a student takes Algebra 1 as a freshman, we're going to be noting whether that student passed it or not. If the student is taking that as a sophomore, we're going to be noting it then. So there are multiple pathways that will be considered concurrently until probably mid-junior year, when we should have a definitive answer of what options are remaining.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's a lot to track at once.
It certainly is. All students, regardless of what pathway, have to still take the Keystone exams. So that's why that's the starting point.
So there will likely be students who have multiple pathways that they've achieved it through. Is that, or you could actually have that, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We'd only have to track it through one, but they could have met the requirements for others.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Mrs. Morningstar.
So Kelly, may I
We'll be
interrupt before we
Oh,
go on to
yes.
the next item? I've gotten some text messages that some people can't see the chat. In order to see the chat, I did have to make a change to the settings. So if you log back out and jump back in, you can see the chat. If you don't want to do that, I will call on people who raise their hand for the citizens comments portion. Do apologize, do want to invite you to make your comments. It's just a setting that I needed to change, and I can't reset it without shutting the meeting and restarting it, but you can log out and log back in. Okay, thanks. Thank you, Kelly.
Certainly. We will be posting, this information will be I think Mrs. Morningstar and I discussed putting it on the guidance website so that they can, students and families can access this information. And I don't know that we called it out, but Act 1, we did get this was supposed to go into effect for the class of 2022. And due to COVID, the legislature's delayed it a year. It's now the class of 2023. So these are not currently in practice. They're, we're still using our other requirements. These will go into place for our, is that our sophomore class? I think it's our current sophomore class. All right.
Kelly, a quick question. As far as guidance counselors with this whole COVID situation, them talking through the students relative to options and things of that sort, how is that impacted with COVID? I mean, do they still have just as much access, but I guess they Zoom, or I'm not quite sure exactly how you would be doing that.
Yeah, I
Sure, I
think,
can speak to that, George. They are setting up individual meetings with students via Zoom, either at their own, at the guidance counselor request or at parental or student request. And they will also be resuming in-person meetings as soon as students return to school. So they're confident that we will still have the same number of requisite student meetings for future planning.
Great, thank you.
Unfortunately, Mr. Smith couldn't be here with us tonight, but I'm going to give you a preview. We plan on bringing more detailed information to our March 3rd Operations Committee meeting. But as I think we updated you earlier in the school year, we're at the tail end of our technology plan, and we are working on a refresh for the next iteration. That involves taking an accounting of our current inventory, as well as having conversations with staff and students about what the needs are, talking with folks out in the field to determine what our needs are. Mr. Smith is working on bringing a detailed information to the March 3rd budget meeting. And but we will let you know that it's budget neutral to budget positive. So we're excited to be sharing all of that with you in a few weeks. I guess March will be here before we know it. We've also been working on updating and refining the vision for teaching and learning. Actually, Dr. Zingenfuss and Mrs. Funi-Hetton started that last January, so a year ago. And then, of course, we've gotten stalled a few times because of the current context. But we were able to get some really valuable information from stakeholders, both last winter as well as during the spring and summer when we took a look at the data. And then we followed up this fall. We took the information that people shared with us, and then we pushed it back out and said, what do you think about this? Does this resonate with you? And so we took a look at all of that data this past fall, and we're looking to refining certain pieces. The 4 C's were, are still really relevant. They're still listed in top skills, the top 20 skills for business and industry of what our graduates need to have. But there were some tweaks to knowledge and core literacies as well as dispositions. So this is an example of certain things to keep, as well as some to consider adapting, like instead of tolerant, thinking about inclusivity. To take away some that felt a little duplicative, like accepting and tolerant, and just coming up with one word. Lots of, interesting the disposition of being civic minded or creating civic responsibility as a core literacy. So we don't want it to be too big. So I think that, we really love all of the feedback that we've gotten, but now it's whittling it down a bit so that it's manageable for our staff and our students and our families for what the vision is. So that's coming, but these are just a couple of highlights we wanted to share with you. Our learning beliefs are still relevant and still reflective of really best practices. So they're still a keeper. And then here's just our next step. So over the next few months, we'll be looking to finalize the profile of a graduate. updating it with that stakeholder input. And then meeting with stakeholders to talk about some strategic goals for us, and including how do we operationalize the profile of a graduate. Not just with we've done, I think, a really great job with operationalizing it with our teachers and giving our teachers and our staff an opportunity to really dig into the vision. But unless it's operationalized by our students, it's not really a profile of a graduate. And so we want to really get it in the hands of our students. We're thinking about how could our graphics kind of reflect what we're looking for. So all of that is coming with an action plan to go with it to make it all happen. So that's on its way. Any questions? Well, those are our teaching and learning updates.
Okay, anyone have any questions regarding anything on tonight's agenda? Thank you to the administration. You've got a lot on your plate, and we know that you have been working hard. All of this on top of all the changes that you've had to make, and with virtual, in person, we appreciate all the work that you've been doing. Does
Thank
anyone
you.
have-
Thank you, Mrs. Klinger. On behalf of the administration, appreciate that. And also a shout out to our professional staff, our teachers who are working really hard to make this work, our support staff, instructional assistants, our administrative assistants, and our custodians who have been working diligently to make sure our buildings are ready for our learners. We are very appreciative of the team effort. So thank you for recognizing that.
Thank you. Does anyone have any old business? New business? Okay, do we have any citizens' comments or questions? You kind of said that there may be some questions.
So I see at least one person who's lowered her hand. I don't see any names in the chat. I have confirmed that several people on the Zoom session can see the chat if they logged out and logged back in. If there are any citizens who would like to make a comment, you can either raise your hand, which is the feature is working, or you can go ahead and add your name in the chat if you are seeing that.
I guess there's no one.
I'm not seeing anyone. I'm not seeing anyone raising their hand, and I'm not seeing anyone in the chat.
Okay, I guess we've done a good job explaining what we had to talk about this evening. So our next curriculum meeting will be Monday, February 22nd at 7 o'clock, and I assume it will probably still be Zoom. And with that, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, have a good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Stay safe.
Night.
Stay safe. Good luck tomorrow. Take
With
care.
the kids back in school.